So question 5 is about the practice exercises at the end of chapter 19. So I'll do half of these with you. So let's look at the second one. So what can I fill out? Well, I know that in the identity table, everything is equal to itself. So I can fill out ones for A equals A, B equals B, and C equals C. Now I also know that here it tells me that A equals B. So now I also know that B equals A. So what can that tell me in the predicate tables? Well, if A equals B, then if A is going to have the same truth value as G, if A is going to have the same truth value as FB, and GA is going to have the same truth value as GB. Do I know anything about C, FC? Not yet, I don't. And now let's look over here again, remembering that I know that A and B are equal. So if RAA is false, then RAB must also be false. And if RAA is false, then RBB must also be false. And also RBA must also be false. And that's just because A and B are equal, as we know from the identity table. Now I can see that RAC over here is 1, while RAB, for instance, is 0. So that tells me that C and B are different. So that means B does not equal C. So I can go back to my identity table, B and B does not equal C, and therefore C does not equal B either. And can I say anything else? Well, yes, I can, because I knew that A and B are equal. So if B is not the same as C, then it can't be the same as A either. If C is not the same as B, then C can't be the same as A either. And I can fill that out twice. Alright, does this tell me anything more? Well, I know that RCA is 1 and RAC is 1. And we know that A is the same as B. That should tell me, if I know what RCA is, then I should also know what RCB is. It should be the same thing. And the same thing up here, if I know what RAC is, then I should know what RBC is. It should be the same thing. But do I have any information about RCC? No, I don't. So that's going to be a question mark, because that information is not, we can't work it out from the info we've been given. And same for FC, we don't have enough information. Alright, let's scroll down and do this fourth one over here. So that's, well, what can we fill out from the table? We know that A equals A, B equals B, and C equals C, as always. We can also see that B and C have different answers for F. So FB is true while FC is false. So that means that B and C can't be the same thing because they have different properties. So B and C is not equal. B does not equal C, and C does not equal B. Can I tell anything else from this table? Well, I can see over here that I've got a value for RBA, which is 0, and a value for RBB, which is 1. So A and B are different here because RBA has one value while RBB has a different one. So that means that A and B are different. So that means A does not equal B, and B does not equal A. Now, can I fill out anything about whether A equals C? Well, let's see if A and C have different answers for anything. Yeah, they do actually. I could look over here for that. So I've got GA is 1 while GC is 0. they have different properties, which means they can't be the same. So A does not equal C and C does not equal A. And now looking at this last one, at the bottom, I can fill in 1, 1, 1 for everything equals itself. What else can I fill in? Well, I know that A equals C, so that means that C equals A as well. Alright, in this table of F's and G's, I know that, well, I know from here that A and C are the same, so that means that FA should have the same value as FC. So FC is going to get a 0. Looking at the R table, well, again, I know that that A and C are equal to each other. So anything, if I have RAA, that should be the same as RAC, because A and C are the same. And here I have RAA, so that should be the same as RCA, because A and C are the same. And again, from RAA, I should have the same value for RCC, because A and C are the same. Now, do I know anything about B from this table? Well, in fact, we could look back at this table, we could look at the G row, for example, to figure out if A is the same as B or if B is the same as C. Well, we have that B is not the same as A because they have different values for G. So B doesn't equal A, and let's see what else I can fill out from that. B is not equal to A, that means A is not equal to B, and since A is equal to C, that means B is not equal to C either, and neither is C equal to B. So can I fill out anything over here? We want to know what is the value of RBA. Well, we know the value of RBC, that's 0. And since C and A are the same, then the value of RBA will also be 0. Now looking over at the S table, we have SAA, and remember we know that A and C are the same, so I can fill out some other values over here and over here, and that's because the columns and the rows for A and C need to match up because A is the same as C. Now, do I know anything about these rows with B in it? Well, I've got that SBC is false, and since I know that C is the same as A, that means that SBA should also be false. And do I know anything about SAB or SBB or SCB? I haven't been given any information about that. All I know is that these two values should be the same because A and B are the same. But I don't know what either of them is, so that doesn't give me any information. So I'm going to put question marks there because we're not given enough information to find that out. Now the last question asks you to put the indiscernibility of identicals and the converse indiscernibility of identicals into your own words. So the indiscernibility of identicals, that's basically the principle that if two objects are equal, then they're going to have the same properties. They're going to have the same predicates apply to them. And now what this definitely does not mean is that if they have the same properties apply to them, they are the same. They are equal. That's not true. For example, let's say if X means X is fluorescent, then you could definitely have two completely distinct objects that both are fluorescent, but the fact that they both fulfill the same property of being fluorescent doesn't mean that they're the same object. And the converse indiscernibility of identicals is that if two objects do not have the same properties, they don't fulfill the same predicates, then we know that they're not identical. And what this one, the mistake you mustn't fall into for this one is that doesn't mean that if two items are not identical, then they don't fulfill the same properties, because we could easily have two items that are not the same item, they're different items, but they just happen to fulfill all the same properties of the predicates that we're considering.